Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday morning, September the 26th. We'll start off here with a nationwide radar map from WSI's and telecast.com and kind of focus in on three different areas of the country. First of all, the Pacific Northwest will get hit hard over the next several days with kind of storm after storm, an active pattern across the northern Pacific. That'll bring some significant rainfall to the lower elevations, all the way from northern California into southwestern part of Canada, and some snowfall in those higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest and southwestern Canada. All in all, the rainfall coming is pretty beneficial because a lot of this part of the country has suffered relatively dry conditions, drought conditions over the past summer season. Meanwhile, the Sunshine State, Florida, to get hit hard with rainfall over the next several days. Really, the main culprit is a stalled out frontal boundary zone, and that'll combine with a lot of low-level moisture to result in copious amounts of rainfall over the next several days. And this is without any kind of an organized tropical system, so a little bit unusual for this time of the year to get all this rainfall down in Florida without the added benefit of a tropical system. There is kind of a tropical wave over the Gulf of Mexico, but it is undergoing weakening and as it encounters unfavorable environmental conditions. But a lot of rainfall for Florida over the next several days. Meanwhile, we just can't shake this off in the mid-Atlantic region. Light rain and drizzle all began with the weakening of tropical storm Ophelia that first moved across North Carolina and then into the Chesapeake Bay region, then across New Jersey, and basically weakened but stalled out. And there has been an onshore flow of air in this part of the country, the Mid-Atlantic region, for the past several days. It looks like it'll continue for the next few days. And all that moisture is leading to a continuation of some light rain or drizzle at times, and unusually cool. In fact, today's highs in Philadelphia, for example, could be around 60 degrees, and it should be up in the middle 70s this time of the year. Even D.C. may not escape the lower 60s for afternoon highs here on Tuesday. They should be mid to upper 70s for this time of the year. By the way, the Pacific Northwest also well below normal with this influx of moisture off the northern Pacific. And here's a 10-day forecast map of total precipitation from last night's 0Z run of the GFS for the next 10 days. And certainly what stands out, Florida, Gulf of Mexico, just off the coast of Florida, significant rainfall amounts over the next 10 days. Again, kind of a stalled out frontal boundary zone right in this region. And by the way, some of this rainfall will come with severe thunderstorm activity. It certainly is a daily chance of strong to severe thunderstorm activity in this very moist and unstable weather pattern for the state of Florida over the next several days. That includes not only the next few days, but going into the weekend and the early part of next week as well. Watch out for severe thunderstorms. Pacific Northwest, pretty much storm after storm here over the next several days. And again, some of the rainfall is beneficial because they've been quite dry. Portions of Washington and Oregon over the past few months here, and some of this will fall in the form of snow in those higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest and southwestern part of Canada. Meanwhile, not a ton of precipitation by any means in the Mid-Atlantic region. A lot of light rain and drizzle over the next few days, again, associated with an ongoing onshore flow of air that is helping to bring in some Atlantic moisture, continuing to bring in Atlantic moisture into the big cities from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City, really throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, and an upper-level trough causing a decent amount of rainfall over the next several days in the upper part of the Midwest. Well, let's take a look at a satellite imagery loop from the northern part of the Pacific Ocean just to get oriented here. This is the Pacific Northwest coast right along here. Northern California right here, Oregon, Washington. Here is system number one, a very, very strong upper level low, and it already is contributing to rainfall into the Pacific Northwest, and this frontal system will continue producing rainfall over the next 24, 48 hours or so, again, all the way from Northern California into the southwestern part of Canada. Upstream, another very strong system right here. These are the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, Alaska being right here. This will impact the Pacific Northwest later on in the week, and again, producing rainfall, lower elevation locations, and some early season snowfall, those higher elevation locations, even upstream from there. Another storm system to watch way up in the northern Pacific. Well, let's take a look at last night's surface forecast maps from the conventional run of the GFS at 0Z. First of all, northeastern U.S. Key player, strong high pressure over the southeastern part of Canada, contributing to just an ongoing, a very persistent onshore flow pattern here for the northeast, for the mid-Atlantic region, just pulling in moisture off the Atlantic Ocean, and unusually cool as well in this part of the country. It has been for the last several days, and it will be through the remainder of this week. Again, today, for example, Philly may only make it to 60 degrees. They should be at least 75 degrees in this latter stage of the month of September. Meanwhile, some rainfall showing up here to begin the day here on Tuesday across Florida and the Pacific Northwest, getting hit by a frontal boundary zone that's closing in from the eastern part, the northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean. So let's now move forward, and we'll see how things evolve over the next several days. And in some areas, not much change. Here we are now later on this evening, and then here in midweek, this high pressure ridging will try to edge into the I-95 corridor region. Maybe some sunshine for a change. Places like D.C. and Philadelphia, that's kind of an optimistic forecast, because still a ton of low-level moisture, even on the day Wednesday. And look at all this across Florida, maybe edging into the southeastern part of Georgia. And again, this will come with a diurnal trend of thunderstorm activity, where the typical afternoon and early evening hours will be most favorable for some strong to severe thunderstorm activity in Florida, with several hours of daytime heating. And here's a storm system closing in on the Pacific Northwest coast as of early tomorrow. So this will produce some heavy rainfall later on tonight into the day on Wednesday. Now let's keep moving forward here now into Thursday. Still, look at that onshore flow of air here just continuing into the mid-Atlantic region. Still very moist pattern over Florida, and maybe a little bit of a break in the action on Thursday, but we saw upstream in the satellite imagery loop, there's more action coming to the Pacific Northwest. So let's keep moving forward here. Here we go all the way into the day on Friday. Very moist just off the eastern seaboard, and even still into parts of the mid-Atlantic region, and certainly across Florida. Just a stalled out frontal boundary zone will continue to result in some rainfall right through the week in the state of Florida, and it stays quite damp and cool here in the Northeast. Now, by the weekend, it's a possibility, no guarantee, but a possibility that this upper level ridge and the surface high pressure system over southeastern Canada and New England will actually cause some clearing skies in that D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor Saturday, and especially during the day on Sunday. We'll see. That's kind of an optimistic look here. But the frontal system stays draped across Florida with a continuation of rainfall. And here's another system moving into the interior northwestern part of the country. And again, some of those higher elevation locations will see some early season snowfall in this active pattern for the Pacific Northwest. Go out a little bit farther in time, and here we go all the way into Sunday morning. High pressure finally kicks things out in the mid-Atlantic region. Looks like potentially a very nice day to end the weekend in the mid-Atlantic region, but still unsettled across Florida. There's still a frontal boundary zone. We've talked about the onshore flow along the East Coast, and continues here in Florida with that high pressure dropping from southeastern Canada to the mid-Atlantic region. That really promotes even more onshore flow, easterly winds across the state of Florida, and that keeps it quite unsettled indeed. And here we go. Another system moves into the interior western U.S., by the second half of the upcoming weekend. So a few areas with particularly interesting weather across the nation. First of all, continuation of breezy, cool, and damp conditions in the Mid-Atlantic region, unseasonably cool, way below normal for this time of the year. Very active weather pattern across Florida with a lot of rainfall over the next 5 or 10 days or so, and very active weather pattern in the Pacific Northwest, where they too will be unseasonably cool with bouts of rain and higher elevation snows over the next several days. That's it for now. For arcfieldweather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.